Hey guys, it's SD, your host of the Life Picks Relationship podcast, where people with all sorts of backgrounds, challenges, and life experience show us how they make their relationship extraordinary.
I am super excited for today's guest, and I know you will be too, as we've got a world-renowned author, counselor, and philosopher, and the most famous rabbi on YouTube, Rabbi Manis Friedman. Thank you so much, Rabbi Friedman, for being here. I am so excited. Let's get straight to it. Tell me, what makes a true marriage?
Couple of good arguments. Ultimately, the answer is the sanctity of it. When you try to treat marriage like any other agreement or arrangement or commitment, it doesn't work because it's a ridiculous commitment and it's a ridiculous arrangement. And unless it's sacred, it's senseless. So you can't leave out the sanctity of it. And that's why all over the world, maybe until recently, but all over the world, for all of history, marriage was always related to a sacred event. You had to go to a sacred place. You had to have a holy person there to proclaim you married or whatever they do. There had to be a religious ceremony. It's the only event that secular people, whatever that means, insist on a religious ceremony. Like the old song, "Get Me to the Church on Time." Why does it involve religion? Why can't you have a civil marriage and a civil divorce? Not really. If you take the holiness out of it, there's really nothing left. Except, human friction. So what is sacred and what is holy?
Yeah.
So that one coming. The sanctity of marriage consists of the fact that what you're doing is really bigger than the two of you. Because the only way two people can merge is if there is something bigger they can both merge into. Otherwise, instead of merging into a oneness, it becomes a contest of who gets the most goodies from the other. I love you more than you love me, so we have to get divorced. Because, it's not even. Or like children say, it's not fair. I love you so much and you don't love me.
What if you're in a relationship and I know you love me, but as in a way of showing the other person, you want to tell the other person, I love you even more?
Sure. That should be the contest. The contest should be who can love more and who can love better. But there are so many ways that a person shows love. The 5 languages. There are more than 5. There must be millions.
It's like mixing them all together and trying to find a way for each person.
Yeah. So insisting that you have to love me my way. No, you have to love me like this, not like that. That's shallow. Anyway, so going back to the sanctity, if you're not aware and in awe of something much greater than the two of you, and that's why we have these concepts like soulmate, bashert, my destined partner in life. If it's not coming from someplace bigger and better than you, it's not going to be very good. So real definition of marriage, since there's so much confusion about it these days, the simple definition of marriage is a reunion of 2 parts of a single soul. Now, there are people who have no idea what a soul is and they don't believe in it. That takes a chunk out of your marriage because the definition of marriage is 2 parts of a single soul separated at birth, find each other and get married. Now, that's magical. How do they find each other? 7 billion people in the world, how do they find each other? God arranges it. That's what we mean by bashert. It's orchestrated from above, or match made in heaven. Every marriage is a match made in heaven. Otherwise, it's not a marriage, it's just a roommate. So by definition, marriage means a reunion, not a union. So if you want to talk about 2 people getting together, creating a union, sure. Anybody, anywhere, anytime, with any way you want. And it doesn't matter who, and it doesn't matter how, and it doesn't matter. So can 2 men marry each other? Yeah, they can. They'll make a union, and they'll live happily ever after. But it's not a marriage. It's not a reunion, because souls get divided into male and female, and they have to become complete. The need for marriage is that a human being that is only male or only female is not complete. He's a complete male, but being only male is not complete. How do we know this? Because God created Adam, male and female. Then he divided him into 2 people and told them to be married to each other. which means that the separation, turning them into two people, was not an improvement. It was a step down. All separation is down. Godliness and holiness is all about oneness. When you create two-ness, that's a step down. But the reason and the purpose is that the oneness between a man and a woman should not be given from above, but achieved on their own. But with whom? With someone that you can be completely joined and one. And that's only possible if originally you were one. Got separated, that's artificial. Separation is artificial. Get rid of whatever is separating you and merge back into your truest nature. So marriage means becoming whole by becoming male and female as one person. If you have someone who is a perfect man and you have someone who's a perfect woman and they get together and become one, wow.
Yeah, wow, exactly. That makes perfect marriage. But how do you know if it's the perfect person? People get divorced and get remarried.
Very hard to live with a perfect person. Perfect is not always easy. The idea is that even if a relationship ends up in divorce, a marriage ends up in divorce, the marriage itself was valid, never a mistake. But even that which God intended can be too difficult of a challenge to the human being. So we're calling it a match made in heaven, but we're trying to make it work on earth. That's a trick. In heaven, everything works. Any two souls can get along because they're souls. But then you involve a body with a personality, with all sorts of shtick, and it's not so easy anymore. So the fact that a marriage ended in divorce or ended doesn't mean it was a mistake. I mean, God forbid. You have children. Were they a mistake too? So if you married the wrong person, then you had the wrong children. So it can't be. A marriage can be challenging and sometimes too much of a challenge. But wrong is never wrong.
Okay, so on this podcast, we had quite a debate about whether love and like is the same thing and whether you can just like or love someone and what their definitions really are. For some people, love is caring about the other person or just a feeling. Some people say like is being friends with them or liking them as a person. What's your definition of these two words and which one comes first?
It's very hard to separate them because what one person calls like, the other one will call love and so on. So a dictionary is not going to do us any good here. There are many aspects to a human being. I can love, truly love, be absolutely obsessed with one part of you. Some other part of you makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. So if the part that I love is stronger, then I'll stay married to you and be annoyed by this little thing about you so I'll say I love you, but I don't like you. More accurately, love applies to a person, like applies to things. I like your sense of humor. I love your sense of humor. That's not really correct. That's like I love chocolate. I don't love chocolate. I really like chocolate. So you can love only something that loves back. Chocolate doesn't love back. So you can't love chocolate. You can enjoy chocolate. You can like chocolate. You can crave chocolate, but you can't love chocolate any more than you can love Mickey Mouse. By the same token, I can't love your sense of humor. Your sense of humor doesn't love back because it's a thing. It's not you. So imagine the horror of being married and your husband loves your sense of humor. He just doesn't like you. Will a man stay married just for your sense of humor? I don't know if he's...
Best option out there.
if he's into funny, maybe it's worth it. But this is really important distinction. Love applies only to the person, not to any part. You can't love a part. You can only love the person who is capable of loving you back. I can't love your looks. Your looks can't love back. I can't love your family because I don't want them to love me back. Also, love applies only to someone who can love you back, but can also hate you back. If you're not going to love anyone unless it's guaranteed that they love you, then you're not ready for love.
There is no guarantee.
That's the beauty of it. But I love my dog? No. Oh, the dog loves me back. He doesn't love you back. It's the nature of a dog to be loyal to its keeper, not mother. It is so disturbing. Just off the topic a little. It's acceptable today to say that the woman who has a dog is the dog's mother. It's beautiful. But if I say your mother is a dog, you get very offended. How does it work?
Just like you're saying, it has to go in both ways.
So if a human being is the mother of a dog, it's beautiful. But if a dog is the mother of, no, that's not nice. So what exactly is the person that you can love versus the parts and pieces of the person that you can only like? So by definition, pornography is the reduction of a human being to parts, objectifying. You turn a person into an object or into a thing, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental. Those are things. So love is a thing, and the proof is you can either have it or not have it. You can have more, you can have less. Obviously, it's a thing. So I can like how we feel about each other. I like being in love. I want to be in love, and I want your love, but I never agreed to the rest of you. So I said, marry me because I love you. You say, okay, but I think, no, whoa. Didn't marry you for your think. Keep your opinion to yourself. I just want the love, okay? See, so the sad, painful result is that although you're married, you are, for all practical purposes, alone in the world. Terrible. I don't think we've ever been so plagued by that as in this generation. Completely alone in the world, although we have so many contacts and so many likes online. And we love everybody and we love everything and love is everything. And we're so alone because we never made that real connection one-to-one, person-to-person. In fact, if you ask most men, if you take away all things, do you want to be married to your wife? Take away all things, then what's left? What's left? Well, there you go. He doesn't even know what is beyond things. So he loves everything about his wife. Why does she feel alone in the world? A very, very graphic example. A man says to a woman, I love you for your money. I want to marry you for your money. She's all offended. Why? She has money.
She wants to be married because of herself, not because of her money.
Well, yeah. So most men will say, what exactly does that mean? Married for yourself. If you didn't have money, many people would lose interest in marrying you. If you didn't have good looks, nobody would be interested in marrying you. If you didn't have a good sense of humor, nobody would be interested in talking to you. So come on. But what is really, really offensive about, I want to marry you for your money? It's a thinly veiled, poorly disguised desire for money. When I say I want to marry you for your money, what I'm really saying is, I don't want to marry you. I just want the money. So if you just give me the money, we'll all be happy. But in this imperfect world, nothing works the way it should. So unfortunately, the only way I can get your money is by marrying you. So I'll marry you. But I'm not marrying you, I'm marrying the money. I just want your looks. I just want sex. Keep the rest. I'm not interested. So don't give me your personality and don't give me your shtick and don't give me your opinions and don't give me your traumas. No. I'm here for the love. Everything else.
Okay, so our biggest problem is that we're lonely. Now, I know you really believe in this because you speak about it a lot. How do we go and solve this problem and really have that deep connection with our partners?
It is really amazing that the only cure ever, the only thing that takes away that aloneness is marriage. And the Torah said right at the beginning, a man must leave his mother and father, cleave to his wife, and become one. Why can't he be one with his mother and father? No, he has to leave his mother and father if he wants to be one with another person. And it can only be with the wife. In other words, with a stranger. Isn't that amazing? You can't be one with your own flesh and blood, but you can be one with a total stranger. Not only a total stranger, somebody from a different planet. Only Mars and Venus. But Venus and Venus, no. There's a famous song from the 70s, I think, by a nice Jewish boy, Billy Joel. The song is called Piano Man, and it describes a scene in a bar. And one of the lines is absolutely brilliant. The line goes, they're sharing a drink they call loneliness. but it's better than drinking alone. See, there's a difference between loneliness and aloneness. Like, for example, a person is feeling lonely, so he goes to a bar, strikes up a conversation, spends the evening mingling with people and talking to people, so he's not so lonely. But then he goes home. When he comes home, he realizes that he's still lonely? No, he's completely alone. Loneliness can be shared. Aloneness, you can't share that. So they're sharing a drink called loneliness, but that's better than drinking alone. What we're suffering from is not loneliness. We're very social. We have contacts all over the world. We're not lonely, we're alone. And that's devastating. It's devastating to your health. Your immune system fails when you're alone, which is something that should be studied in and of its own. Why? Why is it so devastating to be alone? What's wrong with being self-sufficient?
Well, we're built and made up to connect with others, so it goes against our natural psyche.
Yeah, but that's complicated because I wish you would leave me alone. Right? Everybody's begging, leave me alone.
Because we're not really connecting. We're with other people, but we're still alone. So just having them there just bothers us more.
I think the human soul would be very happy to be alone. I don't have to make any compromises. I don't have to think before I do something. I want to leave the house. I leave the house. I want to come. I come. I would love to be alone. But the godly soul can't take it. In other words, and here's really the amazing thing, particularly for people who are a little knowledgeable in Judaism. God created the world. That's surprising because God is perfect. God is everything. God is eternal. God is all-powerful, all-knowing. What in the world did he create the world for? What? Everything is so perfect. There's just him. He is the only thing everywhere, all the time. Perfect. And he goes and creates a world. So most Jewish thinking is he created the world to do us a favor. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why does he need to do anyone a favor? He's perfect. He's not trying to improve his character by being nice to people. Oh, no. It's altruistic. He gains nothing from it. He's just doing us a favor. First of all, us doesn't exist. He has to create us in order to do us a favor. So something very desperate is driving God to create the world, and love is not the answer.
So it is.
In fact, God created love. So love can't be the motivation. Love is part of the creation. God created kindness on the first day of creation. Kindness produces love. So there was no love before he created it. So now it really gets twisted. He created love so that he could love you for your sake. You don't exist. Love doesn't exist. It doesn't. More than that, it gets even more complicated. All this universe, all this is a favor to me. Please, don't do me no favors. You look at all the suffering and you look at all the, really? So the answer is, it'll get you to Gan Eden. If you behave yourself and you try hard and you avoid all the temptations, you will go to Gan Eden. Well, now he has to create Gan Eden. The whole thing is just so unsatisfying. To put it in very simple language, God created the universe because he was the only thing in existence. There was only him. That was not acceptable. In fact, God said it himself. It is not good for man to be alone. Man can refer to himself, the divine man, Adam Elyon. God is saying, I'm creating the world because just to be me is not enough. Why is it not enough? Don't know. It's divine. If you were God, you wouldn't be content being alone. So now we know something about God we never knew before. He's humble. Just me? So what does it say? It is not good for man to be alone. It's not good. Not it's hard. It's not hard to be God. But where's the goodness? What's good about it? So when God created the human being, he instilled this divine character that just me is not enough, even when I'm perfect. Because if you think about it, what's good about being perfect? What's good about it? It's convenient. I don't need anybody's help. I'm perfect. Okay. It works, but it's good. What's good? Where's the goodness? Perfect and good are almost contradictory. Perfect means I don't need anybody. That's what bad means. If you don't need anybody, and I don't mean for things, but if you're perfectly content with yourself, you're a narcissist. That's not good. That's the definition of bad. A bad person needs nobody, cares about nobody. God is not a narcissist. But what does that mean? So we're going back to say, okay, so God loves you. No. God created love in order to have you. He didn't create you in order to have love. Well, that's a big distinction. You don't have children in order to love them. That's narcissism. And your kids are not going to love you back. So God created the world in order to have us beside him. Does he love it? Sometimes we drive him crazy.
Probably most times.
Actually not. It's an interesting thing that Moshe is so critical of the people. And he says to them, you're so impossible. 10 times you tested God's patience. 10 times in 40 years. Let's put things in context. In 40 years, they complained 10 times. I would say that's a pretty good marriage. So it's interesting that the Torah doesn't mention the 27 years that went by that were perfect. In 40 years, there were 10 incidents. And all the Torah talks about are the incidents.
Why is that?
Because good is normal.
Is it?
Well, ideally, yes.
Okay. In those times have been more.
From a Torah perspective,
Okay, yeah.
good is good.
Yeah.
That doesn't make headlines.
Right.
The exception makes the headline. So the horror of being alone is something more than human. Because for the human part of us, alone would be okay. It would be wonderful. Just leave me alone. So when people say, leave me alone, that's their human soul talking. They want life to be simple. They want to be in control of everything. They don't want to have complications. So they want to be, leave me alone. On the other hand, what does it mean when a person says, why can't you accept me for who I am? Why can't you accept me the way I am? What exactly are they talking about?
They want you to love them and accept them for who they are without all those other things.
Yes.
Not expecting them to change.
I say to this teenage girl, just accept me the way I am. I said, okay, how am you? Accept me for who I am. Tell me, who are you? She has no idea. I said, so even you don't know who you am, and you want me to accept you as you am?
Well, what if I could tell you who I am? Then what?
Then you're amazing, because most people can't. Because if you really press them, they'll say, well, I'm the type of person who likes cold weather. And that's not you.
Right.
What exactly does it mean? Accept me as I am. It means accept me as I conflict with you. Because what makes me is that I'm different from you. Why am I different from you? Not because I do weird things. When I'm hungry, you don't feel it unless I tell you. When I'm worried, you're not. When I'm happy, you don't even notice. That's me. Me means that the experiences that I have that you do not share. In other words, your spouse, the essence, the person, the other means the feelings that they have that you don't. That's the part we never like about each other. And that's not a part. That's the person. In other words, I like everything about you, but when you don't agree with me, I don't understand that, and I don't want that. So if everything about you is agreeable to me, that's good. But then that's me. It's not you. So to really love the person and not parts and pieces and things, you have to love the fact that they are not you. Your wife is not you. Yeah, well, there's the problem. Right? You want to marry a clone, not a person with an opinion. So it doesn't matter what your opinion is. And most marriage counseling gets involved in that. Your opinion, my opinion, I agree, disagree. No. The fact that you have an opinion is what bothers me. So unless your opinion happens to be my opinion, no go.
Okay, so by accepting the other person and loving the other person for who they are with all their opinions and everything, is that what will make you not alone?
Yes, because now you are merging with an other person. The otherness, which you don't like, that's the other person. Without the other person, there's just you. You're alone. You're alone with your love for money and your love for her looks and your love for her sense of humor and your love even for her family. So you're in love with many things, just not her. And you don't understand why she's not happy.
Yeah.
See, our grandparents had the opposite problem. They would get married without even seeing each other. They got married at 15 and they did not get divorced.
The question is if they were happy. Not that we're happy today, especially, but.
Yeah, right. Most people say, okay, they didn't get divorced. They didn't know how. But they weren't happy. But here's the difference. They were married to each other, very married to each other. They were not alone. Were they happy? No, there were many things they didn't like about each other. So they bickered about it, and they argued about it for 120 years. But get divorced? That means not have you? No, we're trying to do the opposite. We want to love everything about each other, just don't know why we need the other. So we've replaced things for people. Which is better? Obviously. Marry each other and argue for 80 years about stuff, about things. Why can't you be more like my mother? Why do you have to be like my mother? Fine, argue, but be married to each other.
Yeah.
Ivdu es Hashem is a central principle in Judaism. Serve God. How do you serve him when he needs nothing? So you're serving yourself, trying to get yourself into heaven. Why are you calling it serving God? Because you accept his good advice? That's called serving him. So to put it very simply, because God is perfect, he does not need anything. So he will not marry you for your money because he doesn't need money. And he doesn't need your good looks. And he doesn't need your love. Then why is he marrying you or creating you? Because you are the other beside him. So sometimes we say he's like a father, he's like a husband. We can't find the perfect comparison, but he needs someone, not something. Now, who can really need someone and not something? Only someone who's perfect. If you're not perfect, you need something. And then you're just using the person to get that something. But because God is perfect and needs nothing, then when he says, I need you, he doesn't mean your money. And he says that many times in the Torah. Don't give me your goats and your sheep. They're my goats and sheep. I want you.
Yes. Well, that's what you're in the relationship for. Awesome. Thank you so much, Rabbi Friedman. It was great speaking to you. And guys, if you want more of Rabbi Manis's awesomeness, you could go to itsgoodtoknow.org or Rabbi Manis Friedman on YouTube. Tons of videos there. I will put the links in the show notes. Thank you so much, Rabbi Friedman. This was amazing. Did you enjoy that episode? Could you do me a personal favor and subscribe and leave a review? It would mean a lot to me. Thank you so much and have an awesome day.